single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, I'm gonna teach you how to use a linear programming using graphical method. So but first, what is linear programming? Linear programming is a mathematical modeling technique useful for the allocation of limited resources such as labor, material, machine, time, warehouse space, capital, energy, etc., on the basis of a given criteria of optimality. That's the definition of linear programming. So if we combine linear programming using graphical method, what does it mean? So meaning, we will use the graph to determine our optimal solution for our problem, whether it's minimize or it is maximize solution. And now let's proceed with our proper discussion and example for you to be able to understand how to use the graphical method using linear. How to make linear programming using graphical method. So there you have it, the example. So here you go guys, we will have our example for our linear programming using graphical method, and I already note that we only use two decision variables to get our optimal solutions of our problem. Now let's proceed to the main problem. So problem. A man is mixing two types of food, product X and product Y, for his dog. If each serving is required to have 80 grams of vitamin C and 50 grams of iron, where product X has 25 grams of vitamin C and 20 grams of iron and cost 90 cents per unit. And product Y contains 40 grams of vitamin C and 10 grams of iron and costs 60 cents per unit. The question is, how much of type each, how much of each type should be used to minimize the cost of demand? So here we are required to get the minimize or the minimum value of the said problem. Now let's proceed for our solution. So here, for you to be able to understand the problem, for me, I use the table so that madali ko lang siyang ma-determine kung ano ang gagamitin ko na constraints sa ating problem. So here, I put product, vitamin C, iron, and cost. So ang ating product X contains 25 grams of vitamin C, and then the iron that contains 20 grams, and then the cost of our product X is 90 cents or 0.9. And then our product Y naman contains 40 grams of vitamin C, and then the iron that contains 10 grams, and then 60 cents or 0.6 naman yung kanyang cost. So it is also stated in the problem that the vitamin C and the iron should have at least required or the minimum. So meaning our vitamin C, it requires 80 grams. And then the iron, it requires 50 grams. So that's all our given sa ating problem. Now let's find the variables. So here, any variables that you want, pero ang pinili ko is x and y. And then, so where x represents the number of units of product x, where y naman represents the number of units of product y. So now, we will construct our minimized cost or our objective functions or cost functions. So I already put it in the table. As you can see here, this is our cost function. So, i-add mo lang siya. So, magiging C, which represents the cost, is equal to 0.9x plus 0.6y. So, this is now our minimized cost. So, ito yung main goal natin ha, to get the value of each constraints. And now, we will construct our constraints. So, medyo madali na lang siya. Kasi nga, you already put it in the table. So, as you can see, this is our vitamin C. So, this would be our first constraints. You just have to add all the constraints here. So, meaning, nagiging 25x plus 40y greater than or equal to 80. Why I use greater than or equal to 80 or greater than or equal in inequality? It is because we are asked to get the minimize of our problem. If it is maximize, so meaning we will use the less than or equal to. So now let's proceed to another constraints. So we already put it here, the second constraints. So we have 20x plus 10y greater than or equal to 50. So we already get our second constraints. And then there's also our restrictions, the non-negativity constraints. Our x and y should be greater than or equal to 0. So meaning to say, our x and y, hindi siya pwede magiging negative kasi wala naman talagang negative na value in real world. So that is why. So meaning, we will put it, the plot should be in the first quadrant. Kasi nga, positive values lang nasa first quadrant, and then the second quadrant is positive, negative. Sa third naman is negative, negative, and the fourth quadrant is positive, negative. So meaning, we will use the first quadrant to plot all of our constraints. So now, let's proceed. Now, let's find the value of x and y. So we will let x equal to 0 and y equal to 0. Then, our first constraints, so here we will neglect or we will disregard the inequality of the constraints. So we will make it equal, okay? Note. And then 25x plus 40y is equal to 80. So we will let x equal to 0. So 25 times 0 plus 40y equals 80. So magiging 0 yung 25. So mag-remain is 40y equal to 80. This one. And then 40y equal to 80 divided by 40, y is equal to 80 divided by 40 is equal to 2. So our first point would be 0 and 2. Now we will get another one for our x value. So 25x plus 40 times 0 equals 80. So 25x equal to 80 divided by both sides with 25 para magiging 1 yung ating coefficient sa x. X equals to 80 divided by 25. So the result would be x is equal to 3.2. So this is this one. So ang ating point here would be 3.2 and 0. So that is our first the first two coordinates of our first constraints. Now let's proceed to our next constraints. We have 20x plus 10y. So let's just substitute the value of x equal to 0. So 20 times 0 plus 10y is equals to 50. Main ang 10y is equal to 50. So we will divide both sides by 10. So y is equal to 50 divided by 10 is equal to 5. So, ang ating first coordinate would be 0 and 5. Now, let's proceed to find the value of our x. So, 20x plus 10 times 0, which is y is equal to 0, equals 50. Remain ang 20x equals 50, then divided by both sides by 20. So, it would be x is equal to 50 divided by 20 would be x is equal to 2.5. So that's it. That's our coordinate. So now we will plot it in our graphing paper or any resources that you have. So yeah, now let's proceed. And now we will plot our coordinates sa ating nakuha in our previous solutions. So there, our first constraints, we have 25x plus 40y greater than or equal to 80. So the value of our coordinates is, we have 3.2 and 2. So we have this one, as you can see. So we have 2 is our y, this one, and 3.2 is our x. So, i-connect natin sila. So, ito yung ating first line. So, yan ang ating first line. Now, we will get our second line. So, our second line, so ipa-plot natin siya. Our value is 2.5 and 5. Ang ating x is 2.5 and ang ating y is 5. So, this one, ang ating y is 5. And then, ang ating x is 2.5. So, ito yung ating second line. Okay. Ayan na. So, we already, as you can see, may intersection siya. So, hindi natin alam kung ano ang value ng ating intersections. But before that, we are asked to minimize. So, meaning, ang ating mga feasible region should be above the origin. So, meaning, ito yung ating mga feasible solution of our constraints. And then, why is it na above the origin siya, hindi siya below the origin? So, we have the proof. So, if, as you can see here, if x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, then, so we will have 25x plus 40y greater than is equal to 0. So, we will plug in the values of x and y, which is 0. So 25 times 0 plus 40 times 0, this one, greater than or equal to 80. So 0 is equal, greater than or equal to 80. Is it correct? Is 0 greater than or equal to 80? Of course not. So mali siya. So mean to say, this one should be above. Should be above. Kasi nga, 0 is greater than or equal to 80 is not true. So meaning to say, above. Above. And now, another one, the 20x plus 40y greater than or equal to 50. So plug in the value of x and y, which is 0. So it would become 0 is greater than or equal to 50. Is 0 greater than or equal to 50? Of course not. So meaning, our value should be above our origins, meaning here. So now, this is now our feasible region or our feasible solution for our constraints. So here. So nandito lahat. This would be the possible value of our constraints. So now we will determine the corner point of our graph. So as you can see, we have the corner point. We have this one, the 0, 0, 5. We have the 3.20 and the intersection. So we don't know what is the value of our intersection. So now we will find the correct value of our intersection. Here. So how to find the value of intersection? So in this case, we will use the elimination by addition. So we will use our original constraints. So we will disregard the inequality of our constraints. So here we have this one, our first constraints, the 25x plus 40y equals 80. Our second constraints, we have the 20x plus 10y equals 50. So now here, we will find any value para magiging 0 ang ating variable. So here, I used negative 4 para magiging 0 ang itong ating y. So, kinapi ko yung ating first constraints. We have the 25x plus 40y equals 80. So, negative 40 times 20x equal to negative 80x. Negative 4 10y is equals to negative 40y equals negative 4 times 5 is equal to, we will cancel it out. We will cancel this one kasi nga magiging 0 na siya. So, we will, so 25x minus 80x is equals to negative 55x is equal to, so 80 minus 200 is equal to negative 120. So we will divide both sides with negative 55. And cancel ang ating negative 55 divided by negative 55 is equals to 1. So, yan na siya. So, negative 120 divided by negative 55 is equals to positive 2 point. So we have our x is 2.18. So this one, our value of our x. Now to get the value of our y naman, we will just plug in the value of our x in our first constraints. I'll use the first constraints. So it's up to you if you use the second or the first one. But for me, I will prefer to use the first constraints. So this one, so you just have to plug in the value of x, which is 2.18. So 25 times 2.18 plus 40y is equal to 80. So 2.5 times 2.18 is equal to 54.5 plus 40y is equal to 80. Now here, we will use the APE, or the addition property of equality. So we will add both sides with negative 54.5 para mawala itong dito, para ma-0 ito. So meaning, so negative 54.5 plus 54.5 is equal to 0. So ma-remain yung ating 40y is equals to 80 minus 54.5. So magiging 25.5. So we will divide both sides with 40. So y is equal to 25.5 divided by 40 is equal to 0.6375. Already have the value of our y. So, meaning our coordinate will be 2.8 and 0.6375. So these are our point of intersections. To check if it is correct, so we will plug in both the value of x and y with our original constraints. So we will disregard the inequality value, note for that. So 25 times 2.18 plus 40 times 0.63, this one equals 280. So 54.5 plus 25 equals to 80. So meaning 80 is equal to 80. So it is correct. Ito na ang ating, ito na talaga, is our correct coordinate in our intersection. Now, let's proceed. And now, we will proceed to get our minimization problem, which is our goal. We have c is equals to 0.9x plus 0.60y. So you just have to put all the coordinates. We have our first coordinate, the point 0 and 5. So we ipa-plug natin siya sa ating cost function. So we have 0.9 times 0 plus 0.6 times 5 is equal to 3. So the next one, we have the 2.18, this one, and 0.6375. So ipa-plug natin siya. So the result would be 2.3445. Another one, our last point, we have the 3.20. So ipa-plug natin siya. So the result would be 2.88. So among this, the result, among the value, so which of these is our minimum value? So yung pinaka-lowest na value. So here, our lowest value is 2.3445. So meaning, that is our minimized value. So therefore, the man will minimize his mixing with the coordinates of 2.18 and 0.6375 with the value of 2.3445. So there you have it. We get it. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope that you learned something from me. And if not, just dislike the video. If not, then click like in the bottom below, and then hit the notification bell and subscribe. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoy my video. Bye.